Hello everyone, welcome to the world today. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. Russia's Wagner Group founder Yevgeny Prigozhin says his fighters have taken control of the eastern parts of the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. The founder said everything east of Bakhmut River is completely under the control of Wagner. Prigozhin's forces have led the assault on the city, but he has clashed repeatedly with Russia's defense ministry, complaining that his men have been starved of the ammunition they need. In a separate video posted on Telegram, he called on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to take the old people and children out of the battered city. But the Ukrainian president said Ukraine will continue to fight for Bakhmut amid talk of a possible Ukrainian withdrawal. Meanwhile, Russia's foreign ministry says the United States has questions to answer over its alleged role in explosions that destroyed the undersea Nord Stream gas pipelines last year. It was commenting on a blog post published earlier by a respected American journalist, Seymour Hersh, that accused the U.S. military of involvement in the blast and alleged President Joe Biden green-lighted that operation. Russian ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova called on the White House to address the facts presented by Hersh. Quoting one unnamed source with direct knowledge of the operational planning, Hersh detailed how skilled deep-water divers from the U.S. Navy planted C4 explosives during a training exercise last June, then detonated the payload remotely 3 months later. And a senior Ukrainian official has denied any involvement from the Ukrainian government in the Nord Stream pipeline leaks in late September 2022, which Western leaders have said were likely the result of sabotage. Mikhailo Podolyak, an advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, wrote, and I quote now, "Although I enjoy collecting amusing conspiracy theories about the Ukrainian government, I have to say Ukraine has nothing to do with the Baltic Sea mishap and has no information about pro-Ukraine sabotage groups." Podolyak added that the Nord Stream pipeline sank, as they say, in the Russian Federation itself. Mr. Podolyak's remarks follow a report from the New York Times, which said new intelligence suggests that a pro-Ukrainian group carried out an attack on the Russian-owned Nord Stream pipelines that left them badly damaged last year. The U.S. State Department spokesperson Ned Price says the United States has full faith and confidence in investigations led by Germany, Sweden and Denmark into the possible causes behind that explosion on the Nord Stream gas pipeline. During a news briefing, Mr. Price said the U.S. government would wait for its European partners' investigations to conclude.
You referenced the investigators, and in fact, there are 3 countries that are investigating exactly what transpired. Our German allies, our Swedish and Danish partners as well. They've opened investigation into what has happened. Those investigations are ongoing. As we always do, we're going to let those investigations play out before we comment on any potential findings or conclusions. We have full faith and confidence in the investigation that they're running. Of course, we're going to wait for those investigations to conclude. We'll see what they say. But again, we have full faith and confidence in our European partners who are behind this.
European Union Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has hailed Ukrainian women during an address to the Canadian Parliament and said Russia's aggression is also a war on human and women's rights. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Ms. von der Leyen also addressed the world's dependency on Russian energy at the beginning of the war, when Ms. von der Leyen said Canada and the EU are global leaders on climate action.
The United Nations says Russia is using rape and sexual violence as part of its military strategy in Ukraine. This is not only a war on Ukraine, it is also a war on human rights, and it is a war on women's rights. Since the start of the war, the number of women serving in the military has more than doubled. And it's not just about women in the army. Millions of Ukrainian women are standing up for their children's future in freedom.
The world is facing challenges, and we need strong, principled, and responsible leadership from people of all backgrounds. So thank you, Ursula, for not just being a strong example of that leadership, but also for putting forward policies, decisions, and solutions. The partnership between Canada and the EU is stronger than ever. It is built on our shared belief in gender equality, in human rights, in international law, in a strong and growing middle class, and in growth that creates opportunities for everyone. Fundamentally, it is built on a belief in strong and lasting democratic institutions like the one we are in today.
Elsewhere, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, says the first priority in the world at this point in time is to avoid a nuclear accident with serious radiological consequences in a nuclear power plant that has been shelled several times. Mr. Grossi was addressing the IAEA's Board of Governors in Vienna, Austria, and referring to the Zaporizhzhia power plant in Ukraine. He said that he had not been able to get agreement on the establishment of a nuclear safety and security zone around this nuclear power plant, but he will keep trying.
All in all, steps in the right direction, but of course we should be measured in our judgment about these things, because there's a lot of work ahead of us. We should not ignore or forget that we come to this point after a very long period of frustration, and now we are trying to redress this. We are not going to be stopped by any difficulty. We will continue in whatever circumstances there. This is, of course, of paramount importance. I have not been able yet to get agreement on the establishment of a nuclear safety and security zone around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. But I will not cease. I want to be very clear on this to all. I will not cease in my efforts to get this. But can we really say that we are serious about nuclear safety and security if we are not able to provide for a nuclear safety and protection zone around the plant, which is in an active combat zone? I don't think so. Frankly, I don't think so. So when we approve all these documents and we take some modicum of satisfaction about the fact that we are doing all this work, let's not forget that the first priority in the world at this point in time is to avoid a nuclear accident with serious radiological consequences in a nuclear power plant that has been shelled several times. It is obvious that nuclear activities are growing everywhere in the world, and that, of course, poses to us an increased responsibility and more work, and we are happy to do this. But the world is also discovering the multifaceted contributions that nuclear science and technologies have, not only in the area of nuclear energy, but when it comes to protecting the environment or human health.
In the meantime, the UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk is criticizing governments, including China and Russia, for restrictions on civil society, in a speech that also took some Western states to task for their records on poverty and police violence. The highly anticipated speech was Mr. Turk's most comprehensive address to the Geneva-based UN Human Rights Council since he took office in October, and was being closely watched by diplomats and rights groups to see what he would prioritize. Mr. Turk, who is Austrian, said his main message to governments was to listen to people, victims, and human rights defenders.
Harsh restriction of the civic space is the Achilles heel, the fatal weakness of governance. If I have one message to deliver to every head of state or government, it is this: listen to the people, and in particular to victims and defenders of human rights. These are the people who have the deepest experience of these issues, and they have something to say that you need to hear. I'm alarmed by the number and range of countries where we have seen steps that undercut institutions of justice, media freedoms, and the space for fundamental civic freedoms. In the Russian Federation, I'm deeply concerned by multiple trends. The closures of the newspaper Novaya Gazeta and the Moscow-Helsinki groups are another sign of the demise of Russia's civic space. Constant pro-war messages on state media fuel and feed stereotypes and incite hatred and violence. Over 180 criminal cases have been opened up on charges related to alleged defamation of the armed forces. Those convicted so far include a journalist and a municipal councillor.
Joining me now is Nigerian student in Ukraine, David Koshedo. David, great to have you back at this time.
Hello, great to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's been quite a while since we spoke to you on the program. I understand you're back in Ukraine now, even as the conflict is still on. Why did you decide to go back?
Firstly, I want to say thank God for the grace He's given me. I also say thank you, channels, for having me back. To be honest, why did I go back? I still don't know the answer. There are several factors that played into it. Because we could not find another school that was able to take me because of the whole transcript situation. I said, if you wanted to get your transcript, you had to get expelled. The second, the time, because I'm already in my 5th year. By July this year, I'm going to my 6th year. So the time, because if you want to find another school, you're probably going to start 2 years behind. So I was also looking about the time, and there are several factors to it. And I just thought, I discussed with my parents and my family, and they urged me to be like, okay, you started this thing and just finish, God has a plan for you and stuff like that. So that's the main reason I went back to Ukraine. Spoke with my family, spoke with my friends and family, and everyone was urging me to go back to Ukraine. And yeah, here I am.
So since your return has been your experience so far, is the situation in your city any calmer?
Yes, it is. It's actually very calm, apart from a bit of a scare, towards the end of last year, the whole electricity issue. And, there was no electricity for some time, but at the moment it's very, very chilled, Lviv is chilled. And those around Lviv very chilled, people come out now to play, everyone is, although, recently they still a year a year of the war just passed, so they were mourning they are dead, but it's very chilled. Everyone is out, everyone is smiling. No one is panicking as much as the beginning of the war. But yeah, as I said, at the end of last year, there was a scare with some bombs. Even in Lviv, the whole electricity went out, but now it's very calm.
And so what are the school authorities saying or doing to ensure safety and protection of students?
Firstly, what my school is doing, said if you're able to make it to Ukraine, then you should come to Ukraine. They are making this online, offline basis, because I'm back in Ukraine, so I get to go back to school offline. I get to see some things, and those who are unable to make it due to one thing and the other, they also can do online. And for example, if there's an air alarm whilst I'm in class, we are urged to stop the whole class, then go down to the safety bunker. So every class is like that, whether you are in the ophthalmology class or the internal medicine class. As long as you're in class and there's an air alarm, the school has made it know that once there's an air alarm, everyone has to stop, both the teacher. The Zoom has to be cut short if they're on Zoom, and everyone has to go to the bunker till the air alarm is over. And also in the hostel, it's the same thing. Once there's an air alarm, if there's an air alarm at the moment now, I'll have to end this. I'm okay, we have to go down to the bunker till the air alarm is over. So school has made it a priority that the students that are here, they know that we are here and everything is safe. Also based on the insurance we did. So there's some things that we are covered in the insurance as well if something's happen. But yeah, the school is making waves to protecting the students that are back here.
Right. So how many of you, have come back to school? I know a lot of people left when the war first began, but how many, can you count how many are back, those who actually left in the first place?
Not a lot. The Nigerians, to be specific, I can count them like my fingers. It's really scarce. We've had situations that, some people had to leave, maybe, because of the whole situation. Some had to take their transcript. If you're taking a transcript, you have to get expelled. And not a lot of students, but at the same time, there's still some students that are not back because of some things or the other, maybe due to the fact that they've not gotten maybe a transit visa. That's also a problem, hindering some people to come back to Ukraine. But at the moment, I could say like we are like almost like 10 to 15, maybe Nigerian students there. But I'm not sure, I might be wrong, but those I have seen like 10 to 15, but more people are coming. We're seeing more Indians, more Arabs, and the Ukrainians here, a lot of them left, but they are piling in school now. Like a lot of them are back in school. So yeah.
And the Nigerian students you say that are back, you must have your ears on the ground in your school and maybe possibly some other schools around. How are they living? How are they doing? Is the situation calm where they are as well, or what have you heard so far?
I don't really have so much. The only friend I had is not yet back in Tanopi, but like the ones in the Viv, as I said, there was a scare at the end of last year with the whole electricity stuff, but everyone is fine. Like we're all fine. Like if I tell you that everything is all right, no one will believe me. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, Viv itself, it's very fine. Things are expensive, which was expected, because of the whole war and but like and sending money from Nigeria is also a problem. But other than that, it's really calm here. Everyone is good. All my friends are smiling. It's there's a daily routine, before like if you wake up like there might be a bomb or stuff like that. Like now you wake up, you're looking forward to going to class, I'm looking forward to getting to the bus. Your teachers are looking forward to seeing you like every Mondays or every Thursday. Looking forward to playing football without saying we have to cut the football short because of the war situation. We are looking like everyone has opportunity to go to the cinemas, and it's actually a bit calm out here. And things are expensive. I said it was expected, but everyone is smiling. I'm not seeing anyone unhappy, but yeah, it's very good here.
Okay, great news there. Glad that you're safe and you're doing well. But I know it was such a short period between when you returned, when you just returned to Ukraine from home. But do you miss home already? I know you wanted to get back to school, but you must miss home.
Oh yes, I do miss home, and I keep in touch with them a lot. My mom, she calls me like almost every day, and we talk, just to keep her mind at rest. But yes, I do miss home. I miss Nigeria as a whole. But yeah, I'm happy to be back in school.
And have you wished a happy International Women's Day today? Come on.
Oh, I will.
You will?
If she's
okay.
watching, Mom, I love you so much. Happy International Women's Day to all the women. You guys are special. So thank you for all what you do to the women around the world. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, David. And to continue to keep safe in Ukraine.